Hello, I'm TJ Randolph, and welcome to Mosaic with TJ Randolph. I have been struggle streaming all day. Maybe that was a sign that I don't need to go live today. Anyway, I'm going to react to a portion of a dialogue or discussion that was on Courtney Michelle's channel with it was she and three other women, and it was facilitated by Alan from We Need to Talk. He asked a question that was very thought provoking, and it made me think about some things. If I were a man, what kind of man would I be? So, with that, let's go ahead and get into this video and talk about it.
We'll stop and we'll shout you out. All right, let's get into it. Let us get into it. So let's start here. And this is where I start most of my conversations on my channel. I ask women if they were men, and we'll go down the line, one by one. If you were a man, describe it as much detail as you can, what kind of man you would be. And we'll start from Courtney and work our way backwards.
What kind of man would I be?
What kind of man would you be?
I definitely would be a leader. Now that I'm really kind of finding my own voice, I think I would be kind of like a Huey P. Newton, a brother Malcolm. So just a leader with integrity, a man that listens, a man after God.
Okay.
So, and a man for, wanting a family and taking care of his family and providing and protecting by any means necessary.
I want you to comment on this. Chicago Rilla's in the building. Shout out to you, brother. He said hashtag stab. For those people who might not know what that means.
Yeah, so for the people that don't know, over the past month and a half, I have been talking to different types of group of men, passport bros, and I've been talking to SYSBM, Save Yourself Black Man. And I've learned a lot. Again, I'm trying to be an active listener. But the stab means, still they ass back. Still they ass back. Stab. So, and it's again, by any means necessary. I'm definitely for, I think we fundamentally have something wrong with our community. I think we are completely divided. And instead of going with that narrative and keeping it divided, why the people that want black men, that love black men, that love black women, want black women, why not try to do something to bring us together? So, and we need you. We need men. Because without you, there definitely is no community. So still they ass back.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. All right, so let us go. Like I said, we're going backwards. So let's go to D. Taylor. What are your thoughts on the question? If you were a dude, if you were a man, in as much detail as you can, how would you move? How would you operate? What would you do? What is something that you feel like men are missing that you would have if you woke up tomorrow and you were a dude?
So I would be a black man. So I feel like if I was a black man, I would be more of a leader and not be fearful of, following my peers. Who cares if people look at me like I'm not being cool? I would be a man of God for sure. A man that has principle, standard, a hardworking man. Like I would probably just be in my bag for sure. Because I know that in the end it would pay off for my family and my future. As a man, I know that it's important to secure my family and to protect my family. So monetarily, that's something. And then also reading, being intellectually smart, building my intelligence, so I can be an intellectual man and be a leader, and be knowledgeable about things. Who cares about what's cool these days, the sports, the athletes, the rappers and stuff like that. Like I would be just a leader. Like, if I'm going to be the first doctor in my family, I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to make a change in my life, and be the change that my community needs, because I know not only that change will impact my family and create, um, what is it, generational income and wealth, but I'll also be a mentor to younger Black boys. You know, I think that's what's missing in the community, is a lot of Black men are not really giving back to the youth. They're just kind of like, forget that single mom and her kids, save yourselves. And you're not saving yourselves when the kids are being left behind and suffering. So that would be me. That's what I would want my son to be as well. So
That's interesting. And I have a follow up, but I want to move to Ches. Same question. If you were a man, in as much detail as you can, what kind of man would you be? And you're muted.
Um, that's a really hard question. I think my first thought would be I definitely would be a family man for sure. Probably would be very involved in the community and wanting to build the community. Um, I would be really concerned about how to create things or how to collaborate with other men within the community that would impact and improve the state of current Black America. I would certainly probably be involved in also some church community, God fearing for sure, um, all those things. But I think a core principle would be that I would be focused on the family for sure, very deeply involved on how to create systems and how to create things that would positively impact the Black America and really address some of the ills that are going on today. So that's what I think I
Right.
would.
Trust me, we're trying to figure it out too. I've been a man for a while and I'm still figuring it out. So Miss Sean, last but not least, how do you answer that question? You're muted. You're still muted. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, there you go. All right.
But I think that I would be the same type of man that my husband is, to be perfectly honest with you. So he's caring, he's protective, he's a hardworking man. I would be hardworking for sure to take care of my family, be a father to my children, have a family, be supportive of them, be supportive as much as I can to my extended family, and just make sure that we're all taken care of. Absolutely, there's a place for, we need a place for the Lord as always. And I know a lot of people are, saying things about everywhere else, but I got to take care of my home. I got to take care of my people in my home. That may sound a little selfish, but I definitely, that's my main focus, and that's where I would be. That's the most important thing to me is family.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those were fantastic answers.
Okay, so before he gets to his part two, I remember watching this video and this discussion. And first thing I said, that's a really good question. And I thought about the answers of each woman. And then what I said to myself is, if I were a man, I'd be the same type of woman that I was. Or in some parts, in the same type of woman that I am. Well, what do you mean by that? Courtney talked about being a leader. She said a lot of things. She talked about being a leader, providing for the family. We talked, B. Taylor talked about mentoring. She talked about being about her bag if she were a man. She talked about, she said so many good things. Hardworking. Mashawn said, like her husband, all of them said protector. And in some ways, without using those words, trailblazers, creating systems, programs, all of those things, protecting the family, providing for the family, leading the family. Well, in many ways, I have been that person. So when he asked what kind of man would you be, and I start listening to their answers, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the kind of man I would be or want to be is the kind of woman I have been. So let's think about that for a minute. If I were to be a man, and if I had been the same type of woman that I had been, that signifies I was acting in a male posture. I've been a leader. And this is not about horn tooting, but I am proud of the things that I've done. But when we talk about competition, we talk about trailblaze, we talk about protecting and providing, those are typically things we think about as a man. I think about in my younger years before I had my daughter, I had a vision for something that I wanted for the Black students on the University of Oklahoma's campus, based on something that I'd seen a year prior at UCLA, and it was Black graduation. Because many of us were first generation college students. So I wanted to put in a program that we would celebrate ourselves, and that our families could come and see our names and hear our names called and not be lost in a sea of people. Well, that was the vision. And I led the charge, or I led the committee along with my peers to create a program that had been done, and I think it's still being done, for over 30 years. I was an activist on the campus. Let's go into the military. Once I had my daughter and went on active duty, I had to provide for my family, which was my daughter. I took on the hard jobs. I did a lot of the things. I protected. And again, even though it wasn't my role to protect or my job to protect, because I was the oldest, a lot of times I felt it was my responsibility to do so. So I worked hard. And I gave to other people in my family. I mentored young people, young men and women, who were growing up. I served as a mentor. I served as a mentor to men and women in the military. I served as a mentor to men and women in the civil service. I was active in the church. I'm God believing, Jesus fearing. I speak up. I fought for others that couldn't fight for themselves. Went toe to toe with my colleagues, sometimes even with my superiors. I thought about that. And in as much as I think that's pretty cool, but when I look at it in that posture, would that have been attractive to a man, to certain men? Because as a leader, you need to be a good follower, but there were some times I wasn't a good follower, because I would, when in charge, I take charge. That's what men do, right? Okay, so let's continue.
Now, here's the thing. When we talk about the manosphere, I think you'll find that a lot of the men in this space were raised to be those things, everything that we described. And for whatever reason, when they go out into the world, those things aren't being selected for by women. And that's why you get the concept of red pill, because men are told you do all these things the right way and that you will get the attention and the validation of women. And they're not finding that to be true. So the red pill is breaking out of the matrix, and they figure out, oh no, Future actually has more success. The bad boy actually has more success with women. So how would you respond to men thinking that women are saying one thing, but rewarding another type of man? Don't all go at once.
Now, if that ain't some food for thought, I don't know what is. Because I'm like, that's another point. And listen, I'm only talking about me. You apply to what applies to you. But thinking about what I just told you about the kind of woman I had been, And I'm not going to lie and say that woman's not still in, I'm not still there. Again, I was very intellectual, have a lot of intellectually stimulating conversation. I think somebody talked about that. I would get, some people consider me well read. Definitely I'm able to, for the most part, present myself well. But if I was that type of woman, do you see where that would be not necessarily challenging to a man, but disinteresting to a man? Because I considered myself on that same level. So what presented a challenge to me, and like many others, were, I'm not going to say bad boys, but I had my share. And I guess bad boys would be like the boys that you knew that you shouldn't be with. I'm not going to say Pookie and Ray Ray. I never did that. But that is a good point. Because I may have thought that someone like me was not appealing, but not realizing how to dial it back like I've learned to do now. And a lot of it came from, in my opinion, I was seeking to prove myself worthy, seeking to prove myself smart enough, seeking to prove myself good enough. So I became, in many ways, the kind of man in a female form I should have been looking for. And not necessarily to say that they had to have the same type of personality, because my husband is the same type of man that I should have been looking for. What do I mean by that? I mean, hardworking. He will do whatever is necessary to provide for his family. And I think about, because of what I've learned about him, what he would do for his family before he met me, even as a young father. What he does now, saying that, if when I wanted to retire, say what I need to do to make sure that we continue on where we need to be. He is a protector. I say don't let the smooth taste fool you, because in as much as he is, doesn't talk a whole lot, he's not argumentative. Most men don't really argue, but he'll let you know that he means business when it comes to those whom he loves. Very smart. And a leader in his own right. And it's so interesting because I had something in my mind of what I thought a leader was and what it should look like, as if all forms of leadership looks the same. And it doesn't. So I had to really meditate on that question. If I was a man, what kind of man would I be? And I came back to the kind of man that I would want to be was the kind of woman that I have been. Very forceful in work and relationships. Many had called me a formidable opponent, because I, at work, again, in the military. Yeah. So I want you women, to think about how you would answer that question. And if you come back saying that the kind of man you would be is the woman that you are, then it begs the question, where is there room for a man if we are acting like one? So, a little food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, ciao for now.